welcome to my live call tonight. And it comes with a question, are you ready to give up? And what do I mean by that? I'll answer that in just a bit. And for those of you that do not know me, I've been involved in network marketing for over 40 years. I share a lot of what I've learned in my journey on these live calls. I started in this business totally broke. Yes, broke. I sold a junk truck to get started, put $200 into my business. The last 28 years, I've been full-time in network marketing. If that interests you, keep listening. Acknowledge some great people that are going to join us, and this is Q&A night. Q&A night. So when I said, "Are you ready to give up?" that was one of the questions. What do you do when you feel that way? And so now I'm going to acknowledge some people. Flavio in Ecuador, the country of Ecuador. Nice to see you. John in Baltimore. Hope you're doing well. Jeanette in the Philippines, I believe. Good to see you. Michael Smith in Texas. How are you doing? And Debbie in California. Andrina. Yeah, there you go. And yes, in Texas as well. Good to see you, Andrina. And BB, what's happening? I think we're supposed to talk again. In San Antonio, Texas, good to see you on the call. Nice to see you. I hope everyone is having a great Friday. And Ken in the Philippines, how are you? Good to see you, Ken. And that's right, Jeanette. You're ready. Good to see you. Good to see you too, Ken. I'm doing it from my gym. I don't know. It works out well. And Markian in Colorado. Nice to see you. Oliver in California. So that I'm able to work out, get into the sauna, and then do a live. Anyway, good to see you. Micah, my son, good to see you. How are you in Tennessee? Diane in the Philippines, good to see you. I hope, it's good morning for some of you in the Philippines. Good morning, and nice to have you on the call this morning. You know, when I got up this morning, I actually did a Zoom call with a group in Northeast India. Nice call. And that's a big thing for a lot of people in that part of the world that never use Zoom. So, and Alenia, good to see you because you were on that call. Good to see you. George, good to see you in New York City. Because it's good to see that people are willing to adapt and change, you know, to make things work, to make their business work. And I'm really glad to see that. And so tonight, we are, Howard, nice to see you. Don't know where you're from, but good to see you. And Gary in the Philippines. And Natalia in, I believe, Moscow, Russia. Good to see you. Luz in Salt Lake City, nice to see you. Excuse me, one of these. So let's get right into it. And here's the thing. Yeah, good morning to you, Natalia. Yes, in Moscow. Good to see you. So, Andrina in Texas, she asked the question. And by the way, you can post a question if you like in your comments, and George will screenshot it and send it to me. Um, Bridget in Ohio, nice to see you. Susie, nice to see you. She asked the feeling, how do you handle the feeling like giving up at times? Okay, so, you know, um, here's the thing. We've all experienced that. Andrina, we've all experienced and do experience the feelings of times of wanting to give up. The thing about it is, we have to understand where our frustration comes from. Sometimes it's not just the business; it's other things. I mean, look at how stressed out Americans are that this election that's going on. Oh my gosh, and still, actually continues. The stress comes from different directions in your life. So just understand that when you're stressed out and then trying to do this at the same time, sometimes that doesn't work so well. So I think that it's important to identify where the stress is coming from, and one of two things: find a solution to it. Uh, if it's the election and all that stuff, and I don't think it is in your case, but for a lot of people it might be. Just turn off the news, okay? Just totally disconnect from it, okay? But identify it. Sometimes it might be a marriage. I'm not saying that's you, but I had somebody call me up the other day, and that a lot of stress from her marriage because her spouse doesn't like the fact that she does network marketing, and so I had to give her some advice on that. But the fact of the matter is, sometimes it's good to step away and then come back. Step away and come back. The last company I joined almost 22 years ago, I probably quit 3 times. And they didn't know it. They didn't know it. It's really true. Probably quit 3 times and they didn't know it. And I can remember the first time because we were promoting one product. We only had one product. And actually, the patent holders were not people in our company, so the owner didn't own the patents. So really, it's like building a house on land you don't own. How does that feel? And that's the way I felt at the time. So the thing was, I can remember after 90 days busting it out. Some of you might remember my story, 90 days of busting it out. How you doing, Danielle? Good to see you. Anyway, and having a team of 800 people, having reached the top position of the compensation plan, I can remember telling first of all, I had the frustration also of the team, the biggest team I had, the leaders at the top of that quit and went after the money games. So I had to deal with that disappointment. We go through disappointments. We all do. And so I had a choice: quit or go, call down into that line and find out who's staying. And whoever's staying, I'm working with them. And I'm going to sort through those people to see if there's a diamond in the rough. But at the same time, again, being in a company that you didn't own the patents to your product, and you only got one product, right? And we were doing great with one, but I didn't like that. And so I remember telling my sponsor, I think I'm going to not do anything more with it right now. I'm going to go up in the mountains, Blue Ridge Mountains in North Carolina, outside of Asheville, North Carolina. And there's a lake house I leased. I just went online and looked for it, found it. I was just frustrated. And I went up there for 6 months. Then my sponsor says, I don't think that's a good idea. I said, yeah, well, that's what I'm going to do. So, and that was it. And of course, my people had my phone number and I stayed in touch with them, but I'm telling you, after 90 days, I was out. I really was. And then what happened was that the owner of the company ended up buying the patent holders out, and then I said, okay, now we got a company. That was the first time. The second time was what was this? Oh, I can remember. The second time was when they introduced a product at our first convention. There were 300 people there. That's our convention. Anyway, and they introduced this second product, and I'm like, what is this? Why do we need this? We're doing so great with one. Why do we need another? And it seemed competitive to the first. And it was a mistake on their part. Later, the owner admitted, they should have published research or had that research available. It should have been tested out there on the field maybe 6 months before they launched it. That would have been really smart. Then we would know what we're dealing with here. But the fact is, we didn't know what it was, and our sales went, As a result, I remember saying to my sponsor, I'm not promoting that product. Don't you talk to my people about that product. And that was it. And then it was like, nobody did anything for 6 months. And then the stories started coming in, testimonies from the field, everything. Then we saw that was a great product. So, and then we saw it also as not competitive, but actually supportive to the first. Again, I was back in the saddle after having been out again another 6 months. Third time, we had a compensation plan that didn't pay very deep. It was very shallow. It was mostly a unilevel. So it's like you could get your income up to $5,000-$10,000 a month, and that was about as good as they could get. And I'm like, I'm not, And then my sponsor said, well, just go build more legs and you'll make more money. And I'm like, are you crazy? Do you know how hard it was to build 3 teams? And Mark Yarnell says, he's the man that wrote the book, Your First Year in Network Marketing. He was one of the founding leaders of Nu Skin. And he's the one that said most of your income will come from 1 or 2 legs. Very true. If it's going to come from 1 or 2 legs, I'm not going to build 3 more legs, to have 6 mega legs. Are you out of your freaking mind? That's what I told my sponsor. Anyway, and I remember writing, a letter to the owner, and then I talked about that. I said, we'll be known as a great company with great products, but there's no opportunity here. We're never going to attract people who could become 6-figure monthly and 7-figure earners. It won't happen. And then and so I didn't, again, not doing much with it for a good bit of time. And then the company went on a 6-month exploratory research to launch a new compensation plan that would pay in depth. And that's what happened. And then when that happened, I was back at it. But I'm just saying, and the reason why I bring this up is that because you're going to go through experiences like that, disappointments. And that's why when people say, well, you got in at the right time, well, you have no idea how frustrating those years were. And that was like the first 4 years, how frustrating that was. You lose a lot of people, and then, like I said, a lot of times I wasn't in the saddle. I was out of the saddle. There's times you just take time off, and actually I was married to someone else back then too. She didn't like network marketing that much. She liked the fact I had money coming in. She did like that. But it was very frustrating bringing her on company trips or conventions. And I'm at a convention and I'm talking to my leaders, and then she's looking at her watch and saying, can we go now? I mean, can you imagine how embarrassing that is? And I get home, I'd say, I'm never taking you to a convention again. Forget it. You stay home, I'm going. Because these are my people. This is my future. Without them, I am nowhere. I remember those conversations. And I said, I am nowhere. And that was one of the frustrating things. And it was just, I can remember one time going up to the state of Maine, and I did some meetings up there. She was with me, and she was like super jealous. And I'm serious. Here's how jealous she is. Okay? Nantucket Island. We went there for a vacation. So I took the ferry to Nantucket Island. And I remember just a beautiful town. If you've never been to Nantucket, you got to go. Just love it. Cobble streets, gas lantern lights in the streets. I mean, just beautiful shops, everything. Anyway, so one day I'm standing on the corner and this lady has an interesting looking dog. I've never seen a dog that looked like that before. And then I started talking to her about her dog. What kind of dog is that, And then she was telling me that. And then finally, she left and then my wife looks at me and said, "So you want her, don't you?" And I said, "What? You want her?" I said, "I'm talking to her about her dog, and I certainly don't want her dog." It's that kind of stuff. Well, we got up to Maine, by the way, because I'll go back to that. And then I remember this, beautiful, sexy girl comes up to me at a meeting, and she said, "Will you come to my house and do a meeting if I get a group together?" Well, I'm up there, right? And I'm going to stay as long as I need to. And I said, "Sure." And so she said, "Great." And when she walked away, my wife said, "If you do a meeting for her, I'll divorce you." Okay. So, I'm giving you the very, 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 very small version of it. Okay, there was a lot of it. Okay, I'm just serious. And so that's what I was dealing with when I was trying to build a business, trying to get my business off the ground. So again, we go through a lot of things. Now, eventually, when I said I went up to the mountains to get away for 6 months, I went alone. Yeah, I left her. I went alone. I said, "I need some space. I've got to get my head together." And it was great too. I loved it. Being up there at the Blue Ridge Mountains. It was a gorgeous lake. Matter of fact, they filmed two movies there. Hunt for Red October, part of that movie was filmed there, and the movie Last of the Mohicans was filmed there. Just beautiful. And anyway, it was a great memory, and to be by myself, to get to know myself better, it was a good thing. I'm just saying that there's times it's good to step back and step away, and not that you're quitting. Don't look at it as giving up. Don't look at it as quitting. You just need some space, and we all do it at times. It does get frustrating, and believe me, if you once you're in this thing as a profession, people think, well, if you make a lot of money, life is so great. Let me tell you, there's a lot of challenges that comes with it. You have to deal with companies. You have to deal with you'll end up spending more time dealing with problems in your team, and trying to. Matter of fact, just yesterday, someone was kicked out of our. Suspended from our company, and the leader reached out. Well, you saved that person. They shouldn't have been, suspended. So, and then I'm getting on the phone with the company attorney and talking to them, and it's or a compliance person. I'm just saying that's where you spend a lot of time, and it's okay. I don't mind doing those things, but I'm just saying. But here's the other thing too. Tweak what you do. Because if you're doing something that's not getting results, spending more time with it, if you've been doing it for a long time, spending more time with that is not going to change it. So look for ways to tweak it. And, somebody was bringing this up the other day, that they were, matter of fact, she was saying, hey, I'm doing what Ray Higdon says, I'm sending out X amount of requests every day, invites. Hey, will you take a look at what I'm doing? And then sending the video, and it's like crickets. And I said, why don't you get on the phone with them first before you send the information? Because what's missing here is you. There needs to be a connection between you and that prospect. They need to hear your voice. They need to sense your demeanor. They need to see your interest in them as a person. We've removed the human element from prospecting. So much of that from prospecting, where now it's just functionality. It's just social media that's not social at all. It's just like, it's a different way to spam people, or, hey, will you look at what I'm doing? And, well, why should I? You're a total stranger, man. It's like there's no rapport. There's no relationship whatsoever. And I'm not talking about building endless rapport, but there has to be some. I'm not finding anybody that is doing this with total strangers and there isn't some kind of rapport, and they're successful at it. Most are never successful at it. Of course, we can talk about some rock stars out there in social media. Well, that was before we got all the noise, the white noise that you're dominated with today. If those people had to start all over again and do it again in social media, they wouldn't go very far with it. Not with their methods. Now they just throw a lot of money at it, and they're selling things. That's not duplicatable. It's not duplicatable. So to be good at it, then, going back to this subject on not giving up, is make sure that you're throwing that human relationship into it. Try to build some rapport. Try to get a conversation going before you send them your video. And then when they agree to see it, make sure that they also agree that to have a conversation immediately after they saw it. So if they said they got time now and it's a 10-minute video, you're calling them in 15 minutes. That's crucial. But that's what I'm saying, tweak it. Now, that was a long explanation for one question. I apologize, but something needed to be said there on that. But I just wanted you to know that I have been, the company I joined last 21 years ago, I quit 3 times. And maybe I quit more than that. I don't know. There's just some days, hey, I'm not doing anything today. Or I'm not doing anything this week. It's okay. Step aside. Go do something you love to do. Clear your head. And then also make sure that you're watching your influences. What you're listening to. It's like a guy that I met one time in Indonesia when I was in Jakarta. His shoulders were down, his facial muscles were down, his breathing was short, and then I thought, oh my God. And then his wife had to translate what he said, and that was the thing. And then when he was complaining about everything, all the problems, and I knew he had a decent team, my question to him was, I said, I got one question for you. And he said, okay. I said, what books are you reading? He said, I'm not reading any books. I said, I know that. Because if you were, you would not be saying these things. So there's a book I want you to read. And I recommended the book, and I said, when you get done reading the book, I want you to reach back to me, talk to me, tell me what you liked about it and how you're going to apply it. And then I'll tell you the next book to read. You know what? I never heard from him. And he's not doing well. See, we have a choice. When it comes to state of mind, we have a choice. We can either try to find the light when we're in the tunnel, or we can just stay in the darkness. But it's a choice. So keep that in mind as well. So, and you're awesome, by the way, Andrina. So Jessica in California, if you're on the call, welcome. She says, when following up with someone who said they were interested, how many times is it too much to contact them if they're not responding anymore? I can't believe somebody would do that to you. Okay, so if somebody says, hey, I'm interested, and you send them something, and then it's crickets, right? You're not hearing from them at all, and how often, Here's the thing. What I would do is, if you follow up and you don't hear from them, then give it a few days, and then call them back and just apologize for being so busy. Just apologize for being so busy. Hey, Debbie, hey, I want to get back with you. I apologize. I've been so busy right now. There's great things going on. My business is growing. The company is growing. Great things are happening. I mean, I'm so excited about everything that's going on, but I didn't want to forget about you. And so that's why I'm reaching back to you. I've got a little time, my schedule's tight, but I got a little time tomorrow in the morning message me a time, and then I'll do everything I can, even though it may only be a few minutes, and I'll call you. See, you got to sort of play hard to get. That person's hard to get. You got to reverse it, and you got to be sort of, you're hard to get because you're so in demand. You're so awesome. You got so many great things going on. And you know what? She's going to think, what? Good grief, what am I missing out on? Fear of loss works. It really does. Try that. And then Peter out of Denmark says, what's best? Sign up someone on auto ship, or with a first order just enough to qualify, or just use that order to qualify for commissions, or just with the or just with the flagship product. All right, so okay, Peter, your English is interesting, but let's go with this. Let me tell you, if you don't get them on auto ship, it's a waste of time. If a person's not going to get on auto ship, it's a waste of time. If you sell let's say a wellness product, let's say it's an immune system product, okay? And somebody says, well, do I have to buy this every month? How do you handle that question? Here's how I handle that question. Well, what month do you not want to be healthy? That's how I handle the question. And that usually jars their sense of reason. They're like, well, yeah, you're right. I do want to be healthy every month. Good. That's why you need to be on auto ship. The motivation is not so that I can make money every time, the product goes out to you. It's because you're going to be healthy every month. If you don't get them on auto ship, it's a waste of time. And here's the other thing. Before I move on to anything else, remember this: when you sponsor someone or enroll someone and you're going to get them on your products, okay? A lot of people will go for the minimum. Let's say your company just requires $100 for qualification purposes, right? And so you want to sign them up with a $100 order. Yeah, that's okay. That's an easy sell. It's no big deal. But what does that tell them about your company? Remember, if they have a family, you want to sponsor a family, not an individual. What's that song by the Sly and Family Stone? It's a family affair. Remember that song? I love that song. It truly is. It's a family affair. You need to get the spouse on the products. Why? Because you don't want the spouse doing to your leader what my spouse did to me once. Not Michelle. I'm talking about my previous. And that is, just negative about the whole thing. Okay. And so unfortunately, by the way, since I was in that story, some of you probably wonder, what happened? Well, what happened was that, I decided I was really going to throw myself into network marketing. She wasn't crazy about it. So we just went our separate ways, and I went overseas. I decided to go on an adventure, live on an island and work Asia. I just wanted to do that. I didn't have to do that, but it was great. And then I met the most incredible woman, Michelle. If any of you know her, she's just, and she loves network marketing. I mean, she's a double-digit six-figure earner herself. I mean, she can't even tell you what the compensation plan is about. But you want to recruit families, and if they have children, does your company have any products for children? So here's the thing: you got one impression to make when you sponsor somebody the first time you put that product order together. You got one impression to make, and that's it. And if you don't, and so if you just do let's say $100 order, okay, all right. So they buy maybe your lead product. That's okay. But maybe they're not hot about that lead product. But if you had, let's say, something, let's say I'm in my gym, right? Something athletic, right? Something workout products or something like that. Or if it was skincare, maybe the wife is really, she's into that. She really appreciates the importance of taking care of herself. I'm just saying, or if there's products for children, this parents, they will do for their children what they won't even do for themselves. Our children must be healthy. I don't care about myself. I mean, I eat pizza every night and drink beer, but I love my kids. Okay. All right. So do you have products for kids? So I'm just saying, put that together, because then when they get that order together, it's not about how much money you can make. That's not the motivation here. The motivation here is you have one shot to make an impression about your product line. Give them the best of the best. What are your, ask your company, what's the top 10? What are your top 10 products, your top 10 sellers? And then out of that top 10, let them, talk to them about that and put a package together. Recruit a family, don't recruit an individual. And definitely have them on auto ship. And then Johansel from the Dominican Republic, he says, when creating a system of 3 or 4 steps, he's talking about, okay, my illustration of a baseball diamond, 3 bases and home plate, right? The invite, the presentation, the follow-up, answer any questions, bring them home, sponsor. That's your system, friends. Anything beyond that is complicated. He says, what if my direct upline is involved in another system with another philosophy, which I pretty much don't agree with? What do you recommend? What do you recommend to me? Okay. If your upline is going to pay your bills, follow his system. If your upline is going to pay for your children's college education, follow his system. If your upline is going to pay for your mortgage, follow his system. See, we're independent. We are independent leaders. The question I would ask him is, how's your income doing? Or if he's at a rank position and he's been there for years, say, I noticed in the magazine or when they announce things online that you're not moving up in rank. If what you're doing works, why aren't you seeing results? See, I'm not going to just do something because somebody in my upline says to do it, I mean, just because they're up doesn't mean they're smarter. They're just part of the tree, okay? It's like some of our relatives, some of our ancestors weren't that smart, okay? So the thing about it is, what you have to do is simply, and then I asked him to qualify what his system was. He said it's kind of motivational, religious-like philosophy of network marketing, highly motivational. Okay. So here, all the rah doesn't work. It's like a hot shower. You go in, you take it, when you come out, you're cold again. That's the problem with motivation. What you have to do is introduce psychology to your people. That's why my mentor is Tony Robbins. I love Tony. Because if I had one choice this year, let's say COVID disappeared. Okay. And I have one choice. The company's got an event going on, or Tony Robbins has got an event going on. Which am I taking the leaders to? I'm going to take them to a Tony event. Because the rah, great, all that is fine, but it doesn't work. They're going to go back and do what they did before and get no results. Why? There's nothing wrong with the training. The training is there. The psychology is wrong because they don't believe they can do it. You have to change the psychology. And that's why I highly encourage a strong dose of Tony Robbins to anyone, because it turned me around. So, but anyway, you do, Johansel, it's your business, and you can, just do it the way you know to do it. If you're getting results, keep doing it. It amazes me how companies, even Apple drives me crazy, man. We get updates on our phone, right? And then they screw up everything. It's like, what? They change the functionality of things and all that. And I'm like, okay. If it's not broke, why are you fixing it? So if what you do isn't broke, don't fix it. And that was all the questions there. Now let me look and see what George sent. Again, if you have a question, Just ask it, and then I'll try to answer it. Let me see. So, oh yeah. So yeah, Howard wants to know if that's an inversion table behind me. Yes, this thing is for my back. You know, you go upside down, and I'm upside down, all the blood is going to my brain. I'm thinking, is this really healthy? It's crazy. Okay. So, well, that was his question. Then Maria from Mexico asked a question. What to do when somebody has enrolled but has not placed the product order and they don't answer the phone? Okay, they don't answer the phone, just open up your window and yell out. Reminds me of Rocky. Yo, Adrian! I'll be there in 5 minutes. Okay. Okay, so, you know what I would do is, yeah, I think the best thing to do is move on. If they're not going to answer the phone, and they what you did, you enrolled them, you got them an ID number, but they have not placed a product order yet. What you can do though is if you've got any recent stories or people that have shared their stories about the product, you might want to be able to send that to them, text that to them, message that to them, and then let them see what's going on with people using that product. Because here again, they don't understand. And here's the other thing you could do. If you're connected with them in Facebook, add them to a Facebook group, a product group where people share stories, what they're experiencing with the product, so that they know it's credible. Because too many people try to intellectualize this, and it doesn't work. Facts tell, but what? Stories sell. It's really true. So add them to a Facebook group, and hopefully you have one, or your upline has one. Now here's Olinda from Peru. She said, I started again, and my prospects are from cold market. How do I build rapport with them and keep them in the business? Okay, that's a good question, Olinda. Okay, so if your prospects are from cold market, now I would assume cold market means you're talking about social media, because you're probably not running newspaper ads, right? Like I did back in the 1980s. Actually, it was a lot of fun back then doing that. But if you're doing that and in social media, here's the thing. What I find with people in social media is that they're not very social. How many people send you a friend request and then you get on Facebook Messenger and send them a message back? Hey, I added you. We're connected. Awesome. I really look forward to getting to know you better. Tell me about yourself. What is it you do? And you can later you go back and look at your message that you sent them, and you see that they read it and they didn't answer. And wow, what's up? It's not very social, is it? I'll give somebody about a week, and after that, I unfriend them. Because if they're not going to be social, they got no business being in social media. Why send me a friend request if you don't want to know who I am, or you don't want to have a conversation or a relationship? It doesn't make any sense. So here's what I would do. Now for you, Olinda, is if you find people in Facebook, Instagram, whatever, or in Facebook groups, you need to engage in their content. You need to engage in their content. And then just have a very good follow-up with it all. Have a system of people that that you want to follow up on, you want to regularly get into their content. I'm not talking about building endless rapport, but you got to, again, have some rapport. They need to sort of recognize who you are, so that if you send them a friend request, they're like, oh yeah, Yeah, she comments on my posts in that Facebook group or on my page, or in Messenger, you message them and they recognize who you are. But if they don't know who you are, it's pretty tough, for them to get their attention. I'm telling you, there's just not enough engagement. Again, the human relationship or the human element has been like removed in this process because people have been taught that they can just message and hit people with their videos or whatever, and then I don't believe it works. I really don't. You're going to have to get good at engagement with people, not endless, not week after week, but there has to be some. They have to know something. You have to be recognizable when you message them, or if you send them a friend request and they say, "Oh yeah, I remember her. She made a nice comment on a post. I think I'll accept her." And even then, you don't immediately send them a link about what you're doing or ask them. You want to engage in their page, build some rapport, and do that with a lot of people. Have a lot of that going on at one time, and you'll have a lot of people that will be open to looking at and allow you to follow them up, So, so I think that's it. And hey, Emmeline Utesi in Philippines. That's right, Maria. Facts tell, but stories sell. So it's been fun here, spending Friday evening with you. And I appreciate you guys getting on, really. I hope all of you are doing well. Have a safe weekend. And, enjoy your family. Enjoy your, wherever you are, whatever you're doing. Find joy in it. Find gratitude. Again, if you want your business to grow, get better, be grateful for what you do have, even if it seems very small. You're not going to get more unless you appreciate what you got. But that's sort of the law of that God put in place, and that is if you appreciate what you have, well, and you really show that, then you're going to get more. So I hope you do. Thanks again for getting on tonight, and I appreciate all of you. Take care. Love you. Oh, and George is reminding me, if you haven't got my book on Amazon, Reaching the Peak, I hope you do, and read it. That's my 40-year journey. And Ray Higdon's, he wrote the foreword on the book. Anyway, everyone, have a great weekend.